Well, it's 72 without losses. Tea is taken on day two at Kanpur of this first test between New Zealand and India. This is ESPN Cricket for Match Day. It's these middle sessions that New Zealand tend to do well in. So we'd like to hear more from Daniel Vettori. Yesterday, the internet let us down, but I'm hoping today Dan's got sorted that out because it's been a good session once again for New Zealand. Wasim Jaffer is here as well as we look back at the first 20 overs or so of India's bowling. But you must be pretty pleased if you're a New Zealand fan watching that response, Dan.
Well, I changed locations just to ensure that the internet. Look, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it's been another fantastic session for New Zealand, and whilst they would be very happy with the way they bowled, I think the start is the key. And whenever teams come to India, Indian spinners, fast bowlers, they just put pressure on from ball one, and they tend to get inroads early on. But for Will Young and Tom Latham to start this well, particularly Will Young coming into the subcontinent and playing with this style of game, I think it bodes so well that they have the ability to be that confident in trying situations. And we know how good the Indian bowling is, but at every stage, and this is the dream start that New Zealand wanted.
Yeah, I mean, we must talk about Will Young here because Wasim, I'm sure you'd like to give me your two bits on the right-handed opening. All right, I think it was my internet today. Anyway, we're going to pick up the chat. We'll continue talking about Will Young, and I'd love for Wasim Jaffer to weigh in as well, the opening batsman himself. And Wasim, when we see an opening batsman from one of the Sena countries play his first test in India and his first test in Asia, Will Young's only played two tests before this. There's always a challenge of how they respond to playing spin on our pitches. What have you made of Will Young?
Yeah, I think he looked very solid in his defense and his choice of shots. And it's a very good start. I mean, Tom Latham, we know he can play. He's been in India and he's done well. He's done well in subcontinent conditions. So somebody like Will Young coming in first time, I think he's impressed in the first outing so far.
Hmm. What's the most important thing to remember when playing spin, Wasim, when an opening batter comes here? He's not used to playing a lot of spin in the first 15, 20 overs.
I think it's important that you need to be very confident of your defense because a lot of the bowling that you are going to face is going to be spin. So you need to be assured of your defense. Once you are assured of your defense, then you can look to attack. Uh, but if you are not confident of your defense, then sometimes you make a mistake of playing too many shots too early. So that is something which I think is done so well, and I think it's important to play the line. When you're playing spin and especially playing in the spin conditions. You don't need to play for the turn. You need to play the line, and if it spins, then it's okay. You get beaten, but at least you're playing the spin. So if the ball gets straight, it hits your bat. So you don't need to cover your spin while you're playing the spin. So I think so far New Zealand have done well, and that's exactly the start they would have wanted.
We've not seen as many demons, fair to say, Dan, in this surface. If we were expecting Aksar and Jadeja and Ashwin to bowl some of these snorters or ones that just go all along the ground, we've not quite seen that. Does that tell us something about the pitch, or is that still likely to happen as the roller effect wears off?
I think it's been a fair surface so far. I think there's enough evidence that spin will become more dominant as the Test match goes on. So the first innings of India, their score, and then whatever New Zealand scores in this Test match will really dictate how the rest of the Test match plays out. And I think the wicket is a good one, but it will assist bowlers as we go on, and it will assist seam bowlers as well, for particularly the seam bowlers that take the stump. So far, I think it feels like a very fair Test wicket. I thought yesterday was a little bit flat, but I think you have to give it time, see how it plays out over the first 2 or 3 days, and I think it could turn into one of those great Test match wickets that just offers enough for the bowlers that they stay in at the whole Test match.
Wasim, would you second that view that this is turning out to be a better pitch than we perhaps expected on day one?
It is definitely playing well, but you need to understand that Indian pitches, like Indian people, they do take a little bit of nap after lunch. So hopefully it will wake up after the tea. Uh,
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely when the ball gets roughed up, the seam bowlers will come into play. And when you get one wicket after a partnership, when you get one wicket,
Hmm.
you tend to get two and three in line in India. That's the pattern. So anybody coming in after that is not going to be easy. So India will be hoping for that one wicket and hopefully get two, three, in succession.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan Vittori made the point yesterday that the things happen in the last session in usually in test matches in India. So it's a big last session coming up. But one question before I leave both you fine gentlemen: three spinners and three really specialist spinners. Akshar Patel, phenomenal start in these conditions. Dan Jadeja back, Ashwin. How do you captain three spinners who are all at par? You'd think as a threat. Because sometimes you know that someone's your first spinner, someone's your second, someone's your third. You got these three at your disposal. How would you handle that?
Well, I think it's exciting to start with because not often a captain gets the opportunity to mix and match and utilise three spinners. So it will be fun for Rahane and how he adjusts to them. And I simply think it'll be about his feel for how the the bowler's bowling. I don't think he'll worry too much about matchups. I think he'll adjust to who he thinks bowling well at the time, and he'll get a read from Saha as well, who he thinks is actually spinning the ball the most or has the most revs on it, and he'll back that bowler to a point. And I think you look at how three seamers are utilised in good conditions. I think you think of it the same way as three spinners. You don't over bowl them. You use them when they're bowling well, and you bring them in and out depending on who is bowling well at the time. So I think because it's a novelty, we don't quite understand how to use it. But if we simplify it and just say it's three seamers at the top of their game, how to use those three? Well, it's the same applies to the spinners.
We think that Ashwin would just keep bowling as pitches tend to offer more in India, Wasim. But if you're a batter, what would be the bigger challenge? To have the two left-arm orthodox spinners bowl in tandem? Would it be Ashwin one end and rotate the other bowlers at the other?
I think since Latham is playing there, Ashwin is more likely to bowl from one end and then rotate Jadeja and Aksar. Obviously, whoever bowls, like Dan said, whoever bowls well, he's going to get a good enough run to bowl a lot more overs. But hopefully, Ajinkya will keep changing to just get that one wicket and then
Hmm.
hopefully put more pressure on the batsman coming in. So the batsmen coming in, Williamson and Taylor, they haven't got a really really great record in India. So
Yeah.
just hoping for one wicket and then putting pressure on the batsman coming in.
Okay. Now this is where we can have a little fun, right? Because we're not quite sure what the game situation will be at stumps. So if New Zealand are now 72 without loss, the trail is 273. Let's start with Wasim Jaffer. He knows these conditions so well. Where do you think this test match will be at stumps, Wasim? Just give me a bold prediction, whatever you'd like.
I think four down for 150.
80 runs, 4 wickets. That seems to what happened in the first session today. Dan Vittori, what do you think is going to happen?
I would like New Zealand to buck history and say that they can fight out through an Indian usual renaissance in that third session. I think we talked about it yesterday how strong they can be in that third session. It's their strength and they take the game away. But if Latham and Young can continue on how they have, then that will set up the test match for New Zealand.
So that's all fine, and that's what you'd like to see. What do you think is going to happen, though? Are you going to give me? Are you going to give me
Oh,
a
well,
score?
yeah, then another 80 on the score for no wicket. There you go. I'll
Brilliant.
go against.
150 without loss and 150 for four could tell you where this test match is heading. So let's see if New Zealand can have or to make this their day if they end up 150 without loss, you think. So we'll pick up the chat with Dan Vittori and Wasim Jaffer on ESPN Cricket for Match Day. It is the final session of play. Things tend to happen. Let's hope we get the full quota of overs. We missed 6 yesterday due to bad light. With spinners bowling in tandem, you think we'll get a lot of cricket. So watch out and see if India are on top or whether the game's in the balance. Join us at Stumps.